Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
What is your name and where were you born?
My name is Usniye Seytmemetova Usniye Umarovna. I was born in Bakhchisarai.
What year were you born?
I was born in 1937 in August.
How were you informed of the deportation?
They didn't tell us anything. On May 18, 1944, at 5 a.m., there was a knock on our door without any report. Our mother and 5 children stayed at home, and my older sister was 18 years old. A 19-year-old brother and another 16-year-old brother. They went to sell wheat in some village. Near Bakhchisarai, the village must be Pakhtavoy. They were gone. Our mother was scared. Thought it was 5 o'clock in the morning. We didn't understand. We were all small, one after the other, 5 people. My mother didn't understand what happened. She ran to open the door, and we were asleep. Almost everyone slept on the floor at the time. Then she got scared, started crying. They said, "Open the door, we're sending you out."
Was any official document read to you?
Nothing at all, nothing was shown. Our late mother grabbed 5 children from fright. We didn't take anything. They gave us 15 minutes. They said, "Gather what you need." And mother from fright gathered only children. She pressed them to her chest and began shouting, "What should I take?" They said, "If possible, whatever you want. Get the groceries, it's going to be a long way. You can only take food for children."
Were you or your family members physically abused when or after the eviction was announced?
Yes, they pushed us out, closed the door. They passed the children through the window to mother. Mom just took the little one, Zakishka. He was about a year and 2 months old then. He just started walking. Mom took the baby. The rest of the children were passed through the window. They were not allowed to see their mother. Well, forceful, I won't say forceful. Then they handed us over to our mother, and we were taken to the railway station, Bakhchisarai railway station.
How many people were at the station?
There were almost 500,000 people at the station. There were screams and noises everywhere. It was 5 a.m., it was still dark. May the 18th, I remember that. The scream, the noise was strong. Everybody was looking for their relatives. The kids who had gone visiting their grandparents. They ended up in other places. We, the children, got into the wagon. There were probably 500 to 600 people in the wagon. We couldn't breathe. The wagons were for cattle. There were straw and manure.
Into the railway station. How were you taken there?
We were brought to the railway station by cart.
Did the convoy accompany you?
Yes, the convoy was escorted, with the escort of the convoy. How long did they keep you at the station? Probably a day and a half while they were gathering someone else.
And how were you treated?
To be honest, I remember we were treated with shouting, with noise, with a machine gun. Like a convoy with a machine gun. We were not treated like human beings.
How did the eviction affect your family? How many people in your family were evicted?
8 people were evicted from our family, but 3 got to the Urals, and 5, who were evicted from Bakhchisarai railway station, got to Uzbekistan.
So your whole family didn't get on the same wagon?
No, not even on the same day.
One part was evicted first?
Us, yes. And my father and his sisters, they were, now it's called Paktovoy. I don't know what this village used to be called. Now Paktovoy near Bakhchisarai. They were there. They were evicted to another place.
Do you remember any deaths during gathering or removal to a railway station?
Yeah, there were even deaths. On the train we were on when we got to Uzbekistan, it must have been for more than 20 days that there were deaths. Every morning they opened the doors of the wagons and asked, "Any dead? Are there any dead?" If there were any, they took them out and left in the field. But there was no funeral.
How many people were in the wagon?
There were 60 people, 60.
And what sanitary conditions were you kept in?
We didn't have any sanitary conditions. We were taken in the wagon, like the cattle, after the cattle. There was both straw and manure, a full wagon. We were taken in this condition.
What did they feed you? Have you been given water?
They asked for water. They said, "Do you need water?" They left water with buckets, yes. And I don't remember feeding. I don't think there was any such thing in our wagon.
How often did the train stop, and what did you do during the stops?
It often stopped at the train stations. People were running with their pots somewhere to boil water or something. Well, we didn't have one. Our mother, she was young, 32 years old, she had a baby. She just held us to her chest and nothing else. Didn't get up. She said, "Don't ask for anything, they're taking us to the shooting." I remember that. My mother cried all the time. She said, "I lost my children, my husband. We hadn't seen them, our father or sisters, for almost a month. They were in the other wagon."
Were people dying in your wagon?
Yes. The dead were dragged out every day, yes.
At the stations?
At the stations, yes.
Or on the way, too?
Yes. They didn't even reach the station. They threw them right out of the train from the car into the field.
What do you remember about the road and the arrival? How many days were you on the road?
We were going to Uzbekistan for about a month.
Do you remember the dates when you left and when you came to the places of exile?
When we left Crimea, May 18th, and arrived, I remember the mulberry was already ripe and apricots. Well, in July, I guess. Yes, it was, I remember.
And where did you end up?
Samarkand region, Juma station.
How were you taken from the station to your final destination?
Everyone was taken from the wagons in Samarkand. No, in Juma, and then taken to the bathhouse. Under a general escort, as prisoners. Scream and noise. Everyone was taken to the bathhouse. Then they gave us black soap in the bath. There's no towel, no clothes, nothing. Who had a spare set of clothing got dressed, and some had become infested with lice, wore lousy clothes again. We didn't know where they lead us. Then the Uzbeks came. We were taken on carts again somewhere, to some unkempt sheds. There were no conditions. Cattle lived there. Again, where the cattle was, they must have taken the cattle somewhere, and in this hut, or whatever they are called, some huts, we were taken there. There were 5 of us. We slept there, we cried. No food, no water. and then it got cold. There is no stove to heat. Then our late father found us in Juma somehow, at some addresses. He came from the Urals and looked at our condition. Then our little brother, Rifatik, who was 3 years old, died. And then my dad said, "I'll go and get my sisters and brothers, and you don't go anywhere." He left us some money. My older sister was 15 years old at the time, Salji.
How did the local authorities and population treated the Crimean Tatars?
It was terrible. They treated us like animals. They mocked us, beat us up, and said, "The traitors have come, the beasts." They said to their children or families, "Don't come out." There are people who come from Crimea who kill and steal. These were the insults we endured. We had to put up with bullying. There was no work.
Would you please describe the first month of your stay and accommodation in the places of exile?
Well, of course we weren't treated well. The Uzbeks came and took the carts away. We were settled in a hut, in a barn, where the cattle were kept in such conditions. There was no respect or attention for us, only mocking.
When and where did you return to Crimea?
We returned to Crimea in 1991 to Simferopol. What was it called then? Usniye Street. We lived in a trailer. Without conditions, too. My grandfather went to work, he did. Already in 1994, we received housing and then it became a bit easier. Of course, there was no gas, no water. The water was imported. Gas cylinders were used.
What were you dreaming about before you were deported? What did you want to be?
We dreamed of our homeland. Day and night, people cried, "We don't need anything at all. No wealth, nothing. Only bring us back to our homeland."
But before the deportation, what did you dream about? What did you want to be? What was Crimea like in your memories?
Everyone keeps it in heart, it seems to me, not only children, but adults keep it in heart and soul. We just thought about Crimea, about our homeland, about our customs, about our culture. We had a lot of dreams. In Uzbekistan, even going somewhere, we were not enrolled anywhere. The Crimean Tatars were there like, they didn't count us for people.
How did you imagine your future? What did Crimea mean to you?
Well, that's the homeland after all. Dying in your homeland. To act in your homeland as a human being. We arrived in Crimea. Of course, it was a difficult life. We didn't demand anything like that there. When we got here, there was no residence permit. It was also very painful, very painful. Nobody cared about us, absolutely. Neither the Majlis nor anyone else needed us. We came because we wanted to. No one was waiting for us here either. No one forced us. Again, we have risen ourselves, by our own efforts, by our own work, by our own dream. Only we thought about our Crimea.
Can you, please, tell or sing a song that you remembered from childhood? Maybe a fairy tale, a legend, or a proverb.
No. I was little then. We didn't go to school. I didn't remember. Of course. When we came to Uzbekistan, Then everyone sang the song KYRYM. It was banned. I don't know under which provisions, but it was forbidden. Even when we arrived in Uzbekistan, we had a curfew and were not allowed to go anywhere. We went to sign some papers every month. Our nation, Crimean Tatars, mostly women, were friendly. Of course, they sang Crimean songs.
Kırım'da Kırım deyip aytalar, Kırım'da Tatar kalmadı. Biz Kırım'dan çıkan son, taş topraklar ağladı. Biz Kırım'dan çıkan son, taş topraklar ağladı. Sağlık mağal güzel Kırım, biz gidermiz uzakka. Umutumuz var inşallah, dağa kaytıp gelirmiz. Umutumuz var inşallah, dağa kaytıp gelirmiz.